Hey yo YouTube, in my last session I left off where we were talking to the female half fiend and she was leading us to the male half fiend. Um, Her name is Danya and his name is Hovid. I also didn't mention that we brought the tabby cat with us. His name is Scruffer, and that he was more likely to get caught by the bald headed doctor if he would have stayed in the world we were in. She says that where we found her is a corrupt part of the ways. It's unstable and it's one way. She says that there's cracks in it that lead to two different worlds. The first one is the Origin's homeworld, and the other one is the Erdafon realm. Both are the creatures we fought last session. The Origin are the werewolves, and are the werewolf looking like, and the other one were the ones with the translucent skin with the mummy wraps. I said it was scale mail. It was studded leather. I don't know why I said scale mail. And apparently they come out in a world called Greater Velikavacia, or a place called that. Um, they apparently this area has been dealing with that for 20 years. Um, 4 years ago, a place called Xenov started producing repellents for the Origin, and they were given to a place called Valor Soulless. Um, Apparently, Darza, which is where Nina's from, is the people who made the prototypes and started mass producing it. And almost immediately, a place called Raw Nuke started developing their own. And I asked if Rawright could do a Bard's check. And I think I rolled like in between the 25 and 30, so it's like uh, not known by much, something like that. I know it's the second from highest one, so it's pretty good. But the unofficial story is Darza's never said anything about it, and Renukes always insisted that they created it on their own without any help. Darza does say that they made him first, though. Um, the rumor is that it got stolen from Darza. Uh, it's also kind of believed that Darza leaked that rumor, and they've somewhat let it spread. Um, Nina, being from Darza, she knows different. She knows that Darza made the prototypes for free, but to make a profit off of it, they ended up secretly selling it to certain individuals, and those people ended up selling it off beyond that. And no one's ever been able to make a Erdavon repellent. And they also say that the area where the cracks are, that there is too large of a spot that they can't cover repellents for everywhere, so it only covers up some of the area. Um, so we travel for the rest of the day. We end up making camp. Again, Nina, or Beck, ends up pulling out her bag. I believe she pulls out another bottle of hard liquor. I can't remember which one it is this time. And then when she looks at her laptop, she sees that there's a update and that it has a new movie in it, and that this one is Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Um, I don't remember if she just blatantly asks or says it, or if somebody asks, but she ends up. I think it does get asked where all the movies on there are about vampires so far, like everything she showed. And then suddenly there's this the DM kind of described it as Scott Pilgrim versus the World, as bards dueling each other, which is kind of true. Um, but Onyx Scar kind of notices that she tells Rawlright this, and whenever she first started pulling stuff out of their bags around Onyx Star, after some time, like she pulled out like a zebra leg, because that would be something that he would eat because he never eats what he would call two leg food. Um, and he kind of says, is this like that? Where do you think suddenly, because Rawright's been asking about stories that would translate into our world, that it gave us something like that, where before it was always vampire stuff, because that's all she's been interested in. And she thought it was interesting and stuff, but she didn't really give me a straight answer about it. So the next day we pick up traveling again. Um, get to what looks like it would be a shaggy door. Um, Again, this one looks like because there's two type of doors that we encounter. The ones like in Stargate and the ones like in the Dark Universe world with Stephen King. And that this one's like that, where it's just like a door with no walls and stuff. We go through it. On the other side of the waves, we return to where we were. Last time I didn't mention that the entrance in here were two porta potties. Um, so we go back to the world we were just in. And last time I couldn't remember what the other, because we were dream walking and we were something else. And the something else is called Todash, where in dream walking we can't interact at all. Uh, and in Todash we could actually touch people and stuff, but apparently time goes a lot faster here than it does when you're dream walking. So once when we get into this world, uh, Mirror appears and Hovid comes through like he did last time we saw him. Um, he starts giving us a bunch of lore dump, like at first we asked like how much has he seen lately and stuff like that. Uh, I believe he says in general he can't see into the place where we're in, especially when we were walking through the waves. Um, and also he says he doesn't just watch us, but he starts giving us lore dump about the serpent. He tells us that the serpent used to be a succubi, but now he's a fiend that's in between a demon and a devil. Um, at some point, somehow the rank shifted, and some of the succubis became like half fiend, half devils. So that's kind of how he came about. And apparently, at some point, he got a hold of a Earth realm or a human realm, and he was able to make an apocalypse in this world. He'd pretty much destroyed this world with warfare and a plague. And then, like right when he was just about to take over, and the world was almost done, and then a new prophet emerged, and she was some kind of healer, and apparently she was able to send him back to the nether realm. And then at some point after this, he's when he pled allegiance to the Crimson King. Uh, Apparently, every world has some version of the Crimson King. Some of them is called the Hidden God, and some of them he's called the Raging Fiend. Um, this actually answers a few questions that we have in the other campaign, because in the other campaign we're always hearing stuff about the Hidden God. And like I said, he kind of mentions that he watches other groups, and he ends up mentioning the higher level campaign that we also played, the Band of Titans, and he talks about how a group of them ended up in All World, and again, we're getting answers that are we're finding out more stuff that we didn't know in the other campaign, which is apparently All World has 100. It's a time loop world where after 100 years it loops back, and And the Titans ended up finding like a yellow brick road, which ended up leading to the Wizard of Oz. One of the characters, ended up one-shotting him and killing him. Apparently, the serpent was possessing him, which is something we didn't know whenever this happened. And after they defeat him, the world ends up collapsing. Um, they tell us that this world is there's always a champion that rises, and the champion always ends up defeating the wizard to kind of test them. Uh, but the Band of Titans weren't those champions, so like this kind of ended or messed up the loop. And he also mentions that the Band of Titans ended up getting a letter very similar from the serpent that we got ourselves, and he talks about how much the serpent loves his letters. Um, I want to say after that we bring up the little gray doctors. He tells us that Anarpos is the name of the one that hates Nina. Totos and Nokina are the other two, the ones that are a purpose. Um, and I kept on calling the third type a non-purpose, or apparently is called an undesignated. Hovid also kind of mentions that he doesn't know if it's Star Pride or what, but like where we are now, like how we got to where we are now. But there's got to be something like the doctors that are cutting gates for us, which is why we're dream walking and why we're going to all these different places. And he kind of mentions that well, he also says that it might kind of be like an angel or something. Uh, but he also mentions that the random uh, little gray doctor, bald doctor, is probably looking for another non-purpose, or that's also what the serpent wants him to do. Uh, so he could cut his thread, and it could start knowing stuff like Deep Gnome did. By the way, I didn't realize Deep Gnome was one of the people we killed in that fight. I think it was the one that looked like the American Werewolf in London kid. And then he starts kind of telling us how you would be able to notice undesignated. Uh, he kind of says they'll start kind of losing their sanity. They'll start going crazy. They'll become insomnia. And pretty much the longer they do this, the more knowledge they get of other realms and stuff like that. And he ends up mentioning that we're in Mistra 6.04, and that apparently this is the world where the destroyer Antiochus was born. And he kind of says that all the gods right now are kind of scrambling and moving around their champions, and pretty much for they could reconnect with the world, and if the hidden god, I believe, will get to continue their plan, or will succeed in their plan, probably take over the world or something. Um, After that, eventually Admiral does show up. He kind of mentions the alignment. Um, when we were going over stuff last time with the in the game, the alignment got brought up too. We were talking about what happened last session, and then Nina kept on asking about, well, what's the alignment? He said the Halfling said he didn't know because the Admiral was the one who said something about it the first time. So when we see Admiral and he brings it up again, she starts asking. He really doesn't give us a straight answer. He pretty much says it's gonna be some. There's gonna be two things we're gonna need going forward, and we should get it depending on how close we are to the alignment. Um, he says one of them should be like immediately once when we get to the alignment. He also tells us to not go through the waves once when we get back until we get a message, to not just randomly go through there. Um, he also said that whatever we need the thing we need, we're gonna get during the alignment will be where we all first met, or during the area we first met, Fort Tar. Um, he also says that if we go through the next time we go through the doors, if there's not Wemmicks there, and it doesn't seem like it's part of our mission, it's going to be a necessary task. Um, so pretty much, in other words, the next place not might not be the last place. Uh, and then I want to say it's before we wake up. I want to say it's after Admiral leaves, after both groups leave, Admiral and the Fiends, because we're just waiting to hear the chimes to wake up. Uh, Beck tells us that the way how she is able, the best way for her to feed now, and the way she learned was something that the bugs in her bags taught her. Um, she told us that since we just heard about the undesignated, or how what know more about the undesignated, she should tell us that because she did said that the undesignated are narcolepts, or insomnia. I mean, um, and she says that the bugs told her to stay awake, to not sleep, and over time you would start seeing people's auras, and you could just feed from that. You could just suck people's auras out, and apparently people have so much aura you could fill yourself and they won't even notice. And it's supposed to be the safest, cleanest way for her to feed. She also tells us that the that the other vampires that we encountered that she took in for a while, she taught them the same tactic, which I wonder if it's going to come back up. Uh, but Oniscar is like, so let me get this right. You're telling me that that there's some type of little bald man, or even they even might have said like Angel, is cutting gates for us, and at the same time you found this bag, and I'm like, you found it, right? And she's like, yeah. Um, that teaches you how to be an undesignated, and she's like, well, not exactly how to be undesignated, but yeah, something like that. And she's like, I kind of get where you're going with this, or where you see the connection. It's funny because she asked what's Nina's opinion, and you could tell the player wasn't paying attention at all, because they're like, yeah, I just found another way to feed, or better way to feed. And it's like, yeah, but what do you think about the connection between there being the cuts and the bugs telling me this, or me finding it? And then I want to say she just gives a half-ass answer. Eventually, we hear the chimes. Whenever we wake up, we find out that 9 days have passed, which actually I thought would be a little more than that. Which actually didn't seem as much as they made it sound like we were going to be in. Even though I had an idea when the alignment was, so, but which I knew we were coming up on it. Uh, but we go talk to the wise ones, tell them what all we dreamed walk and stuff like that. And then the next day, Beck approaches us and tells us that she found out that the band of Titans are holding Thanksgiving, uh, which apparently they're holding it in like three different sections. Because, like I said, we live in Fort Tar. They're in Fort Scorpion, and I believe there's another place. I can't remember what it's called right now. Eventually, during the festivities, the leader of the Band of Titans, Craven, shows up because he goes to each of the five places just to pop in and kind of like say hello. Uh, and this is also Nina's other character that the player plays. Uh, so of course they can't resist going to go talk to him. Also before that, whenever we started, because the Band of Titans watches Armor Ready, or the Guardians of Armor Ready. So whenever she finds out that, she's like, "Oh, maybe we should go see them." And I'm like, "We were told specifically that not to find Armor Ready in the real world because we might mess things up." And even when we're talking to the wise one, she brings it up again, like, hey, maybe we should go down there. And when she goes and talks to Craven, Craven ends up, because they end up finding out that she's the first heir of Darval, and and they give her an invitation to go to Titan Manor and represent Darva there. Uh, she does seem like she wants to go, but all she does is go back to her home city or country and ends up giving the invitation to her father. Um, we're all right is performing during the festival. The DM makes me roll 3 performance checks. I want to say it's a 26, 26, 30, 31. Uh, and then he says that someone approaches we're all right and they ask us, invite him to go to the main festival. Um, I end up, or he ends up tracking down the representative we have of the wise ones and tell him that he got invited there as well. Uh, he says, well, I'm no pride chief and I don't have no vision, so maybe it won't hurt so much if just I go there and, avoid armor ready. Um, so he goes there, he performs. He ends up meeting what he thinks is another feline folk named Tararai. Uh, she kind of tells him her story where she's from a different world that was infested by yokai and the world was in it about to collapse, and how the band of titans showed up in her world one day and took a group of them out of there. um, Somewhat talked about what the yokais were and a little bit about the battle, but I'll talk about that more when I finally get to the talking about the Band of Titans story, which I'm probably gonna do soon because, like I said, since because I'm pretty sure that's what the alignment is. Initially, we were gonna switch campaigns once when that happened, but I think the DM told me he wants us to level up more, so we're probably gonna stick to this for just a little longer. Uh, but we end up wrapping it up there. Uh, didn't get to a fight this week, which sucks, but you want to see what happens next time, watch my next video. You want to know the whole story, watch all my videos, and check you later.